any one of our sensory systems, all of them, maybe you could exclude smell, but even smell is related to a movement. So that the eye is not just a receptive surface. What the information that the eye picks up is very much tied into where the body is moving the eye to pick it up. So there are eye movements from eye muscles, and there are head movements that move the whole eye. And the body knows that. It knows exactly where it has moved the eye to pick up that information. And that helps in the spatial localization, the identification of where the information is coming from. The same goes on with hearing. You turn your head and you localize through your movement. Your hand sensory information is, of course, dependent on the outflows of the muscles. And basically, sensory systems are sensory motor systems. The sensory motor loop is extremely important.
So it's the total body's interaction with...
It's the loop. And of course, my engineering colleague here will say that the sensory motor loop is important in all sorts of instrumentation functions also.
Yeah, in fact, you kind of emphasize that whole aspect of the closed...
Yeah, as electrical engineers, we study closed-loop systems all the time, and many of the technologies that we have around us for manufacturing and driving, and for example, a closed-loop system in this room would be the thermostat on the wall. It measures the temperature, it tells the furnace to turn on or off, and this is a closed-loop system. So electrical devices and machines are all about closed-loop systems. Okay, if you have an open-loop system, a heating system that does not have a thermostat in the room, then you can't control the temperature. You can only control it, you just can't control the temperature. So you close the system by putting a sensor in. And so Paul talks about the sensory motor loop, and these are, the term makes a lot of sense to me, and it's related to the prosthetic arm, and the reason why you would be able to have a fully sensate prosthetic limb would be because you create this sensory motor loop, and you would have inflow through your eyes, and you would perceive that through your eyes and localize it. And so it seems to me, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Paul, it seems to me that that the brain needs multiple sources of information that it correlates in order to expand function.
Well, that's a good point, because as Gibson said in '66, you don't perceive with just one sensory system. You perceive with the unit of perceptual system. So that if you run out of a building, as he suggested, yelling fire, you don't know at that moment whether you heard it, saw it, smelled it, felt it. You'd identified fire and ran out of the building. Now, if you saw a fire but didn't hear it crackle or didn't see it, it didn't smell it or whatnot, you would probably not interpret it as fire. You would interpret it as lights going up and down or whatnot. So we actually use our senses in an integrated fashion. Yes, that's been known for years.